Second robbery reported in less than a week. This is actually reported January 17th, 2023. So this is about 2 weeks ago. Now, Antonito had just got hit up last week. There was 3 robberies that had happened in Antonito. And I want to show you the picture of that. But let's talk about this one first because this is, not 30 minutes away. So Dollar General, Alamosa, Sunday. Here is the picture of the guy. So this is all we're given, right? Just the damn picture of the guy. So we just have the picture of the guy, and just based on, let's see what we can see. He's got a hoodie, he's Caucasian. What can we glean from this picture? Not too much. But if you're familiar with that person, that person might seem familiar. So, thou shalt not steal. This is the Make My Day state. This is Colorado. We got castle laws, stand your ground. And we got Make My Day laws. Meaning that if a random passerby want to stand up and stop this guy, arrest this guy, you have the power to arrest, the power to citizens arrest in Colorado. Stop what you're doing. I'm going to make a citizen's arrest. And if they don't stop what they're doing, then you go to make a citizen's arrest. So, you can't really get much from this picture. I mean, if you know the person, then you might be able to place, the eyes in the face. But I would think only a person, just his circle. Only his circle would know who this person is. But fuck this fucking piece of shit motherfucker. This motherfucker wants to go around stealing, taking shit from other people. Let's read some of this. They said second armed in quotation. Was it armed or not? In less than a week. I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous, right? One person can attack another person with or without a gun. Felony menacing is not just menacing with a gun, but also a bludgeon or a knife. Paul Pelosi got attacked with a hammer. Officers were dispatched to Dollar General, 366 Santa Fe Avenue, 9 p.m. Sunday, January 15th. Employees said an unknown male dressed in a red hoodie, gray sweatpants, and wearing a medical mask got away with $620 in random currency. So he stole the clerk from the drawer. Is that what happened? And they said armed in quotations. You would know if did he point a gun at you or not? And was it just in his pocket? And was it a hammer or knife? I mean, if that's kind of being armed. It's not armed with a gun, but it is armed with a weapon of some kind. A bludgeon, a knife, or a gun is felony menacing. That's the current law. It used to be just deadly weapon, but they define deadly weapon as bludgeon, knife, or gun. The suspect approached the cash register as if to purchase an item and then pulled out a small pocket knife. Okay, so they're saying it's not armed and demanded the money in the register. I mean, that's felony menacing, right? That's felony menacing. That's a terrorist. That's a person who is threatening the life of another person. Anybody could have stood up and stopped this person, arrested him, stopped him, and Colorado law would have... Technically speaking, Colorado law defends the good people who stops the bad criminals from criminalizing. Because like you said, we have Make My Day law. We got Make My Day law, castle law, stand your ground. There's no duty to retreat. You have a right to bear arms in defense of home, person, and property. So for your defense, for the defense of others, for your home, even for the defense of property. Employees complied with the demand, and then the right to bear arms implies the right to self-defense, and therefore a right to defend even against, a person with a pocket knife, a small pocket knife. It is kind of crazy that a person could just take a small pocket knife and then intimidate another person, but they can. I mean, what is that clerk supposed to do? They don't carry a piece on them. They supposed to carry a weapon? And then they're kind of, stuck in that little cubby hole, and then the person is right up on them. Probably happened quick. Employees complied with the demand, and the suspect fled on foot. Deputies arrived on the scene, canvassed the area, as well as using the ACSO K9 unit to track the suspect. Sheriff Robert Jackson said the robbery has some similarities to an armed robbery at City Market on January 10th. So there's several robberies that are happening, not just Alamosa. 3 had happened in Antonito not a week ago. It's January 31st, 2023 right now. So 1 week ago, you had about 3 robberies in Antonito, and then about 2 weeks ago, you had these robberies up in Alamosa. It is cold, and it is getting, it is winter, in the heart of the winter, the dead right there in the middle of the winter, right? So since we're right there in the middle of the winter, times are tough. It's a capitalist society anyways, but on top of the cold, people are getting desperate. So if you know this person, right, contact the authorities. Now I want to take a look at this other guy. I wrote Antonito robbery, Colorado, and talks about the business owner shoots and kills alleged burglary suspect in Antonito. Now they had said that they couldn't disprove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt in this case here. That was 2018. Felix Gallegos and Byron Duran or something, but that was a make my day scenario. Guy was in the house, was in the business, robbing the business. Guy says, "I called the cops. You stay in there," pointing a gun on him. Then the guy runs out, and then the guy shoots him. And the guy said he was running right towards him. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But the DA in that the DA in that case had said that they could not disprove that it wasn't self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, if you fired 3 warning shots, they could somehow prove that that wasn't self-defense, even though it totally was, but they're going to somehow prove that wasn't self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. Somehow they're going to... So where the hell is this picture at? It was on, see, Antonito robbery. Let's just see if Google Images. Here we go. News break. Antonito weather. I got the picture here. Should I risk going to the website? I shouldn't have done it. So here's the picture of this guy. He goes into the local grocery store. You only got the grocery store in Antonito, right? Now, we just got from COVID, so people are wearing, kind of mask, but like full mask like that, covers his head, his face, his neck, his everything. That person, to me, it just seems like this is gangster stuff, right? You might have some desperate wildcat crimes here and there, but this looks like gangster stuff, and I'm just going to make some observations. The guy seems stylish. He's got a camouflage jacket. Nice sneakers. He's got some style. I just, off the top of my head, and it's not to defend. I think Nazi, Confederate, KKK pieces of shit gangs are just like, but this is more like a Boogaloo Boy or a Proud Boy. This doesn't seem like it's, doesn't seem like it's a fucking insecure Nazi, Confederate, KKK piece of shit, Seems like it's a stocky. He's got, a lower center of gravity, but he's got like a stocky build, right? Now this is a guy who's got that criminal face garb, right? He's like wearing that face garb like that's who he is, right? That is what he does. That is who he is. I'm sick of criminals when criminals take your shit, they're stealing your blood, sweat, toil, and tears. This guy's like, I don't really want to earn my living. I don't want to work for my living or earn my living. I just want to take what you earn. He's the grasshopper or the ant. No, he's the grasshopper, and he's stealing from the ants who worked all year. Now he's just going to take what they earned because he's a lazy bastard who doesn't know how to plan right. So there's several gangs that are mentioned around here, just to throw out some names: Cineola, Three Kings, MS-13, Bloods, and Crips. But you also have that, there's wannabes in Monte Vista, right? That Andre Psycho Barros, he killed 5 people. He came out of Monte Vista. And there's some kind of local gang up there. The Monte Vista wannabes. I'm not for sure what the name actually is, but I would like the new DA to smash all these damn gangs. These are criminal gangs, and they are not conducive to a civil society, not conducive to safety, security. You want people to go to their education, go to their work, go to their job, and come back, then you're going to have public safety if you want any kind of commerce. So he's like a reverse Antifa, right? He wears that criminal garb. That's what he does, right? That's what he does. That's what he lives for. I'm going to try to pull up. It's on Newsbreak. I'm not for sure Newsbreak got it, but I'll see if I can pull up the article, or there's only like a short little description underneath of it. So it looks like a stocky build. I would say it looks like the build of Soto Cruz. It's not Soto Cruz, just the build of the man looks very similar. So it's not coming straight up. The parents of Christian Glass want all the police departments in Colorado to say his name and to say that it was bullshit. And they want answers and change. So Christian Glass's parents are absolutely right. Christian Glass didn't need to die. He's the one that called for help. You murdered the victim? Well, it must have been a pretty intense situation. Was there like shooters and were there those 2 criminals? Were those fucking guys there? No, just him by himself. So when it comes to a nice peaceful hippie, he had that, that crystal. Oh, well, he's got that crystal. So I only want to make a couple points with the 2 things. Thou shalt not steal. And I hope that we catch, both of those guys. The guy in Alamosa and the guy in Antonito. What the fuck? I also hear that there's no police in Antonito during the nighttime, and then there's 3 places that had got robbed, so somebody just robbed one place and another and then another. And are they local? I'd like to think that it was just some outsider came through town and then, is going to keep on going. But I've seen a lot of just stuff like gang stuff. There was on the stop sign over there in Guadalupe, there was Crips that was written on the stop sign. And we also have a lot of young disaffected men. Andrew Tate is rising in popularity because young men are not in groups, they're not being good citizens. They're not joining caucuses. They're not joining the Republicans or the Democrats. So the main point that I want to make is that the chief judge of the SLV says that you got to have the person's name in order to get the machine moving. Now, he's talking about subpoenas, but I pointed out with prosecution, but it's the prosecution too. You try to turn in a felony complaint, and it's like, well, you got to have a name. Do you have the first and the middle and the last name? He don't even have the first and the middle and the last name. The chief judge of the SLV, he's the one that leads the culture of policing and punishing criminals around here. He's Captain Justice. They nab him, he slabs them. So they nab him, they go beat up, they go do whatever, and then he puts on the illusion or the air of legitimacy. Well, let's assume he's actually Captain Justice. Let's assume that Michael Gonzalez actually wants to stop crime on the street. This piece of crap that, wants to steal from the grocery store in Antonito or steal from the dollar store, the grocery store in Alamosa. We need to stop that shit. We need to stop those criminals from stealing things that are not theirs. There needs to be punishment. You do bad things, you get punishment. If they don't get punished, then you're just saying, well, you win some, you lose some. I bet that was harrowing to the people that was, the clerks and the people, anybody that was inside that business. This person is doing something. Oh my God, this person is stealing. He's taking something and he's doing it with a knife. So he threatens somebody with a deadly weapon. That isn't just... That's felony menacing at the very least. That's kind of attempted murder. That's a threat, right? That's some sort of terroristic, threatening sort of So the judges and the clerks and the cops, they might all live in nice areas, insulated from actual crimes. So they might just shrug their shoulders. The point I want to make with the chief judge of the SLV, everybody has some influence, right? But the chief judge of the SLV would lead the culture of policing and punishing criminals around here. What he says goes. So if, the police started arresting a bunch of criminals and he just kept throwing those cases out, then they would stop arresting the damn. But see, Captain Justice seems to think that when they don't leave their name, their first, middle, and last name, well, they got away with it. Free and clear. Did you see that guy? He had a mask on. And it looked like the one in Alamosa was Caucasian. I would guess that the one in Antonito is not Caucasian. Which, is that better? The criminals are integrated? Probably just isolated. Two different isolated ones. People are desperate. But what if it's not? What if it's organized? The chief judge of the SLV says you have to have the person's name. You want the machine move? You want the machine to move? I got photos and videotape. But if you don't have the person's name, the CRCP says that you could have a general description of the person. Cops need to gather evidence, dust for prints, get photographs and videotapes. You get documents, get eyewitness testimonies. And every piece of evidence that is added into the mix is one piece of the truth. And you need to get as many pieces of the truth as you can possibly get. Get written statements, get oral statements. Record them speaking on the incident. You got to have a person's name. Now, if I had the person's name, that would make catching these two-ass criminals, these criminal fucks, a lot easier. That motherfucker wants to just steal, take your blood, sweat, toil, and tears. Both of those assholes want to take what you earned. And also break society down. Because if they're just going around robbing people and the cops and the system don't even do shit about them, does that mean I'm supposed to get a job so they can rob me later on, take my assets, and then take my check, and then I go nowhere? But heck, they were willing to pull out a little shank. And then the guy on the article says armed. Oh, he was armed. He wasn't armed with a gun. He was armed with something that's felony menacing, a deadly weapon. You don't think even a little pocket knife, what, just 1 inch? That could do enough damage. Must have the person's name. I wish we did know who those people's names were. And I hope that when we catch them, that they're telling us who they are, what they did, what the thing was. Another thing with the system is they know all the evidence. They have all the information. And they're not sharing any information with us. What's the state of the SLV? Who gives the state of the SLV? We have the state of the state, state of the union. Does anybody say the state of the SLV is good? Our economics is good. High snowpack. We're going to get them. We're going to do it to it. You got to have the person's name. Why is that a problem? If the person doesn't get that damn thief from the grocery store, you don't get his name, does that mean he just fucking got away with it, huh? He cheated the system perfectly. He found the loophole from the system. Apparently, you commit a crime and you do it to where nobody knows who you are or where you came from or what your motivations were, and they have no leads. Well, he got him, right? He got him. He didn't leave his name. He didn't leave his ID. He didn't have his name tattooed on his forehead. He robbed him straight up, covered his face up, didn't tell a bunch of people about what happened. The cops didn't stop him. The people didn't stop him. Everybody let him. He came in looking like a fucking robber. Like that's who he is. Like he's going to do it again. Or his buddies are going to do it again. And rob several stores, so it wasn't just the grocery store. And it's probably not the first time they did it. You got to have the person's name. You got to have the person's name. What about investigation? According to that CRCP, you could have a general description of the person. Here's a photo. Here's a photo of the guy. That's actually better than a name. You could say anybody's name and then they could, But you got photo evidence, photographs. You got videotape. I want to see your photographs and your videotape. In fact, if you know the person's name, that'll be helpful. But give me the photo and the videotape. Because the videotape and the photo proves that they were fucking criminal fucks. And that's another thing. Especially that dollar store guy. I guess this grocery store, they didn't know if they had a camera or not. But that dollar store, they got a video camera. But he still didn't give a shit. He covered up most of his face, but still left his eyes up in Alamosa. That other guy covered up his whole face. But they know that there's cameras. And they're still robbing people. Nietzsche says criminals make us all stronger. So is it just a challenge for these fucking people to do this shit? Or is it need? Is it desperate need? In order to get to the truth, you got to build upon it. You got the photograph. You don't have the guy's name. But you get other people and say, okay, that piece of shit's a criminal. So we got his photograph. We got his eyes. We got his, sort of general description, his body size. His head, maybe, skin color. But we don't have the whole truth. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We need to get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So you build upon it. We got some photos. And I think those photos can lead to an arrest. And I hope we all figure out who these fucking perpetrators are. Because I'm sick of motherfucking criminal motherfuckers. Here I'm sitting over here being a good American citizen. Make sure I pay for my insurance. Make sure I get my tags updated. Make sure I vote. Trying to be polite, charming, kind. Not going to hurt you. Definitely not going to hurt you. I would like to help you, but if I'm not able to, or if you don't want my help, that's okay. But sitting here being a nice, good Jesus Christ figure, nice, non-violent, peaceful, off to the side, mind my own business kind of person, Antonito may need citizen vigilante justice brigades. I'm tired of the nice fucking people getting fucking brutalized and criminalized and the fucking criminal motherfuckers getting away with every goddamn thing. There's Nazi criminals by the Labatter Bridge. There's Nazi criminals by the Labatter Bridge. And maybe other kinds of criminals as well. I didn't see many upright, outstanding American citizens out there. One guy got real shitty with me when I mentioned voting. What? You want us to vote? Oh, sorry, I didn't know you're just a bunch of robbing, raping, molesting, fucking committing crimes against other fucking people, sadistic, nihilist pieces of shit. I didn't fucking know. I didn't know that. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have committed the cardinal fucking sin of asking you about doing the minimum of your citizenship duty. Hey, you doing the minimum of your citizenship duty? What did he say? Oh, this is Hell's Angels fucking criminal fucking land around here? Yeah, of course a fucking Tony Soprano probably wouldn't vote, right? That would put his name into the system. Motherfuckers some people have to deal with real fucking criminals. Other people are just a bunch of lazy piles of shit. You want to vote? Well, we're not going to let you. You want to pay your taxes? I got to pluck my eyebrows. So it's bad when there's police brutality. It's worse when the cops actively neglect their duties and responsibility. One cop talked about being an adrenaline junkie. Oh, I'm an adrenaline junkie. Do your damn homework. You got a fucking criminal motherfucker in Antonito, criminal motherfucking Alamosa. Do your goddamn homework. Go find the guy. Cops can't be everywhere. They could try to make a presence everywhere. That's what they did in Louisville. Just sit on the corner. That's better than doing nothing. But since cops can't be everywhere, they're going to have to acknowledge that they're going to need help from the people. You got, 46,000 people in the SLV? 100 cops? Cops are going to need help from the people. All 46,000 of the people are not bad. In fact, I'd say most of them are good. Where there's people, there's power. Where there's people, there's power. Colorado has a right to make my day, stand your ground, castle law. Make my day. Make my day means these motherfuckers, you can't go to a store and do it. If you're a customer, if you're just a person walking by on the sidewalk, you could go in and stop it. Castle law means you could defend your homestead, stand your ground. You don't have a duty to retreat. You have a right to defend yourself and other people. You can defend your home, person, and property by bearing arms, but self-defense probably by bearing any kind of weapon, right? If you're allowed to bear a gun in defense of home, person, and property, then you're allowed to bear a bludgeon or a small pocket knife. So Antonito, Conejos County, you could defend a business being robbed. You just have to have somebody courageous enough to stand up to this fucking motherfucker. If the cops aren't brave enough to do it, find somebody who is and put the badge on them. Because as a cop, I could be all the man that I want to be. But I'm getting in trouble for just shooting a couple warning shots. You're telling me that if a cop fired a couple warning shots, he would even be charged with the fucking crime? Bullshit. As a cop, you could be all the man that you want to be. As a citizen, I gotta maintain. I gotta tread carefully, tread lightly. The Make My Day law came straight from a Clint Eastwood movie where he was standing up for a business. He was just a patron, and then some guys came in to try to rob the place, and then he said, go ahead and make my day, because the guy was saying he was going to shoot a hostage. And it's like, go ahead. If you shoot the hostage, that's it for you. Once you shoot, then he's going to shoot. You might get your hostage, but he's going to get you. Go ahead and make my day. Go ahead, punk. Make my fucking day, punk. Could you imagine cops actually stand up to the fucking goddamn violently criminal? Anybody could just arrest an Anne Frank. Anybody could just pull over some lawful person. Oh, well, I guess I'm getting a fucking 1 mile over the speed limit. Okay, thanks, cop. What about these fucking motherfuckers straight up fucking saying fuck your laws, fuck your society, fuck the judges, fuck the Constitution. I just put on a mask. These motherfucking criminal motherfuckers are thinking that they could get away with anything and everything. And you could go to make an arrest on the thief, and if the thief resist, then you may use justifiable lethal force. May be, you may use justifiable lethal force, if need be, to effectuate your arrest. In Colorado, you have a right as a citizen to make a citizen's arrest, and a citizen can defend a business, a home, a person, property. Now, Gene Kugar is going to talk about the Second Amendment. It says guns are for individuals only and militias. But that's U.S. law. Guns for individuals only and militias. The Second Amendment does mention militias, okay? So he might make that argument, but you can't make that argument in Colorado. The Bill of Rights in Colorado is crystal clear. Article 2, Section 13, we have a right to bear arms in order to defend our person, property, and home. We have a right to bear arms to defend our person, property, and home, or to aid with the civil authority. That's the law. 1876 Colorado Constitution. In Mexico, you had that one politician who was talking to the people. You see me? He said, I'm not scared. But he probably should have been, because he was shot and killed before the election even happened. In fact, lots were. I want to say dozens of politicians were killed in Mexico because the cartels, the drug dealers are in power. Not just Mexico, but Guatemala and El Salvador. The government and the cops and the judges and the clerks, they don't have any power south of the border. It's the drug dealers. You have to pick the Seniolas, the Three Kings. Which terrorist criminals are you going to align with? Don't be a good American citizen. Don't try to push for a caucus. Don't provide any kind of service to the community. Just be a drug dealing. A deputy under Sheriff Danny Sanchez told me that when I was being bullied by some criminals in Costilla County, if you can't beat them, then join them. That's the cops. The cops are sitting there telling the good, peaceful peasants, the good citizens, the good American citizens, if you can't beat the criminals, if you can't beat the Bloods and the Crips and the Seniolas and the Casa Nostra, then join them. If you can't beat the MS-13, the Three Kings, and the Hells Angels, then join them. If you can't beat, how am I supposed to beat all these gangsta land, people by myself? Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador. The government is worthless. The cops are worthless. And then they're not, no service. So it's not like Al Capone or like Fred Hampton with the breakfast program. It's just bullying. A bunch of drug dealers say we're the ones in charge. Everybody better just bow down to us or else we'll hurt you. So it's just a protection racket that doesn't protect. It's just terrorism. A bunch of sovereign terrorist criminal sons of bitches. I wonder if it's those Monte Vista wannabes. And what's that local gang in Monte Vista called? A lot of disaffected men, because when being an American citizen is meaningless, oh, you're a good American citizen, and you're an insecure cop, so you want to bully somebody, and you know that, what, I'm a pushover, I'm like Jesus, I turn the other cheek. Meanwhile, you got hardened criminals out there. I went to jail because I fired a couple warning shots, and there's a guy in there that says, looks like you don't belong here. Oh, okay, you fucking recognize that. Are you trying to lose all of our young men to the allure of the streets? We're going to lose our goddamn republic. Not to Republicans, not to the Democrats or the Greens or the Libertarians, but to the gangs, to the criminals, to the invading hordes of raping, thieving ass, fucking murdering sons.